The first flakes of snow fell gently, a calm prelude to the storm that would consume everything. I had underestimated the forecast, thinking I could make the drive home before it worsened. The road ahead, once familiar, vanished under a growing blanket of white. My car's headlights cut through the snow, illuminating little more than swirling chaos. The storm escalated, howling like a living thing. I pulled over, realizing the road had disappeared entirely. The thought of continuing was foolish. The risk of veering off into a ditch or worse was too great. I decided to wait it out, the car's heater offering me a fragile cocoon of warmth. Minutes felt like hours. The storm intensified, and with it came an unsettling sound. At first it was faint, almost drowned out by the wind. A rhythmic crunching, like footsteps on snow. I strained my eyes, peering into the blizzard, but saw nothing. The sound grew louder. It was no longer just footsteps. It was a cadence, synchronized and deliberate. I told myself it was the storm playing tricks on my ears. Yet, when I looked again, I saw them. Figures emerged from the storm, shadowy and indistinct. They moved in unison, their strides perfectly matched. They trudged through the snow with purpose, heading straight for my car. I locked the doors, my hands trembling. Logic told me they were just travelers caught in the storm, but something about their synchronized movements felt wrong. The figures stopped a few feet from the car. They stood there, motionless, the wind whipping around them. I couldn't see their faces, their forms were blurred as if the storm itself clung to them. I honked the horn, hoping to startle them or at least provoke some reaction. They didn't flinch. Instead, they began to circle the car, their movements slow and deliberate. Panic set in. My mind raced for explanations, each one more absurd than the last. Were they rescuers, bandits, ghosts? The last thought stuck, unwelcome but persistent. I fumbled for my phone, desperate to call for help, but there was no signal. The storm had swallowed everything. The figures stopped circling and faced the car again. One stepped closer, its form more distinct now. It wasn't cloaked in snow. It was made of it. The contours of its body were jagged like frost crystallized on a window pane. Its hollow eyes locked onto mine, freezing me in place. I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened as the figure raised an arm, pointing toward the windshield. I followed its gesture and saw something I hadn't noticed before. Written in frost on the inside of the glass were 3 words: "Come with us." My body reacted before my mind could. I threw the car into reverse, tires spinning uselessly on the icy road. The figures didn't move, but I could feel their gaze, their intent, pressing against me. Finally, the tires caught traction, and I sped backward, desperate to put distance between us. The storm thickened, reducing visibility to nothing. I drove blindly, the road a memory beneath the snow. My relief was short-lived. In the rearview mirror, I saw them again, keeping pace with the car. They didn't run or stumble, they glided, as if the storm itself carried them. I slammed on the brakes, the car skidding to a halt. Turning around, I saw nothing but white. The figures had vanished. My breath fogged the glass as I scanned the void, heart pounding. A moment of silence stretched, brittle and fragile. The windshield cracked. A jagged line spiderwebbed across the glass, originating from where the frost-written message had been. I recoiled, watching as the crack widened. Outside, the storm shifted, the wind carrying whispers. They were faint at first, a murmured chorus that grew louder, closer. "You've opened the door," the whispers said, in unison. The glass shattered, and the cold rushed in, biting and unrelenting. Snow swirled into the car, blinding me. I screamed, but the sound was lost in the storm. When I opened my eyes, I was no longer in the car. I stood in an endless expanse of snow, the storm a wall of white on all sides. The figures were there, surrounding me. Their hollow eyes bore into me, their forms shifting like shadows on the edge of perception. I tried to speak, to demand answers, but the cold stole my voice. The figures stepped closer, their synchronization unnerving. One reached out, its frost-bitten hand brushing my arm. Pain shot through me, a deep, searing cold that spread like wildfire. Memories flooded my mind, not my own. I saw flashes of lives lost in storms just like this one. A woman clutching a broken compass, a child crying for help, a man freezing, his final breath clouding the air. The figures were the echoes of these lost souls, bound to the blizzard that had claimed them. I was one of them now. The realization hit me like a physical blow. The frost spreading through my body wasn't just cold, it was transformation. My skin turned pale, crystallizing into ice. My movements became synchronized with theirs, unwillingly drawn into their rhythm. We moved as one, the storm our domain. I could feel the pull of the living world, the faint warmth of those still struggling against the cold. We marched toward it, shadows in the snow, seeking the next soul to join our endless procession.